Hello, everyone. Thank you for checking out today's episode of Hardball Sports Talk, brought to you by Hardball Sports Media. My name is Brandon, and joining me, like always, is my good friend Alex. Alex, how are you today?
Ahoy, Brandon. I am actually warming up a little bit. It's been very cold, as you know.
Yep.
I think today we reached a high of 8, and the wind chill was not as effective as it was the past couple days.
Hey, there you go. On
Yeah.
my route today, I think I saw 12, so
All right. Hey, heat
I was
wave.
pretty excited about that.
Yeah.
I left the house and it was 1 degrees. I got to where my route was today, and it was 8 degrees there. And I'm
Even
like, hey,
better.
it's like 8 times hotter.
That's
And
right.
I stepped outside.
Look at you doing
Uh,
math.
yeah, I'm pretty good at this math thing. Just
I
not the
like it.
talking thing. The math thing, I'm good at. The talking, I'm not.
Yeah. Well,
We'll get
we're
there.
testing it out.
Yep.
Yeah.
But part of my route today, though, I went into a cooler, and I honestly felt 20 degrees warmer in the cooler than it did outside. And I'm like, man, I'm just
Isn't
gonna
that
stay in here for
weird?
a while. I'm gonna stay in here just to warm up.
Yeah. I've haven't walked into it, but I feel like I felt similar to that at some point. You walk in somewhere, it's like, "It feels better in here than out there, even though it's supposed to be colder in here."
Yeah. But anyways, not talking about cold weather.
Yeah.
We're both from Michigan, and we could probably complain about the cold weather all day, but we're not gonna do that. We are gonna talk football today for the most part, and then one piece of information that came out this morning about regional broadcasting that we're going to talk about that intrigues me, and I think it intrigues Alex too.
Yes.
But first, we're going to get started with the NFL matchups. The first game we have this week is Houston at Baltimore. Houston last week took care of business against Cleveland at home. The reward for that one is an all expense paid vacation to Baltimore to face the Ravens, who, as of this recording, I would say are the favorite to win the Super Bowl. I
Yeah.
haven't looked at the Vegas odds or anything like that, but I mean they have to be the favorite to win the Super Bowl. You would think. So it'll be a tough matchup, I think, for Houston. Baltimore's defense historically and this year too has always been really good. And CJ Stroud, he's played really good all season long, but at the end of the day, he's also a rookie quarterback. And I'm sure that Harbaugh and company will have a game plan to confuse him and throw things at him he hasn't seen yet. So,
Well, not to
uh,
mention, Baltimore's defensive coordinator has already faced him
yeah, in college.
in college, yeah.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I guess that could go for both sides of it, though. He could know what
Mhm.
to expect on from Minter. I believe that's who it is, Jesse Minter.
No. No,
No,
that's
it's
the
not.
current
That's the
Michigan
guy
guy.
that's there now.
Yeah.
Oh, what
McDonald's
was
is
McDonald's? Yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that matchup goes. I tend to think that Baltimore will probably win this one, and I'm not really expecting the world's closest of games here. But I was wrong about Houston last week. I've been wrong about Houston pretty much all season.
Yes,
So,
I think we both have.
and we're not alone on that one. Houston has been a nice surprise for
Mhm.
all football fans. It's a nice time when one of the teams that aren't supposed to do good, especially when it's a team that historically does not do good. For like example, Houston, Cleveland, Jacksonville, and Detroit. Those four teams, especially, they historically don't have a lot of success. So it's always nice to see when those teams do better. And Houston, like I said, great season, but I just think it comes to an end this weekend against Baltimore. What about you?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I agree. As fun as it has been watching this Houston team, um, pretty much shocking everyone, like you were saying, and doing good. Um, Although it's always hard to tell with these first round buys if they actually really help a team or hurt a team. A lot of times the team that has to play to fight in gets it is in that playoff mode and they actually end up being the number one seed. But I don't think Houston's going to do that. I think Lamar and company are going to be ready. And it should be a pretty good game. I'm going to take Baltimore in this game.
I think to your point there with the extra bye week there, I think Baltimore, being the one seed in the last couple years, has learned how to adjust to that.
Mm.
So I think if it was a team that hasn't been the one seed before, I think I'd be more concerned. But with Baltimore, yeah, they lost the game a couple years ago in the same exact scenario. But I think going through that, especially with Lamar and John Harbaugh and company, I'm sure there's been different coaches and players and stuff
Right.
like that, obviously, but the core has been the same.
Mhm.
So you would think that they've learned their lesson and are going to be more well prepared this time around. So we're both taking Baltimore to win this game. The next game we have is our feels like yearly playoff matchup with Green Bay and San Francisco. I live in a fairly heavy Packer populated area, and I've been asking people as a joke with somewhat seriousness in it. So do you guys think that the 49ers own Rodgers or the Packers? And everyone's like, well, we think Rodgers, but none of us expect us to win. I'm like, so you're just admitting that they own the Packers, but you don't want to say it.
Right. No, they would never do that.
No,
They would never find a cop out.
nope. But it is an interesting matchup. I was looking at, so I've been looking at numbers, trying to figure out the Lions Tampa Bay matchup just a little bit better, just because I'm trying to go more in depth in that game. But when I was studying for that game, I was noticing some things with Green Bay and San Francisco. And Green Bay, their offense really is dependent on the run. You know, they're like a lot like the Lions on where they want to control the game with the run, use play action to get Jordan Love. They got a couple nice receivers. They got a nice tight end. It's very similar to the Lions offense, I think. Maybe different philosophy, like different play calls and style of play, but like I think philosophy wise, they're pretty similar. And so I was looking at it, and Tampa Bay, their rush defense is number 3 in the NFL. That is not a good recipe there for the Packers. And on the other hand, yeah, like I've been saying the last couple weeks that I'm not a huge fan of Brock Purdy. I think he's more like I don't think he's gonna like show off or anything like that and win a gunslinger game. But he doesn't turn the ball over. And the Packers defense, they live and die by their turnover. Uh, they if they can't create turnovers, they're not gonna do well. And I don't think Brock Purdy will turn the ball over. I think the offensive line with Trent Williams probably fully healthy or as healthy as he can be at this time of year. I think they'll be able to slow down the pass rush for the Packers. It's an intriguing matchup, though. I mean, the more I've dug into this game,
Yeah.
the matchup's more intriguing than you really think.
Mhm.
But I just think San Francisco is way too deep. And one thing that Packer fans were trying to tell me is the Packers get the ball out fast. I go, yeah, but if you can cover for like 1 second basically and get Nick Bosa and Chase Young time to get to the quarterback, doesn't matter how fast you can throw if the guys are covered for right the get go. I think
Right.
San Francisco defense is better at every level than anybody else the Packers have played this year.
Mhm.
So I think it's an intriguing game, like I said, but I think San Francisco will win it. But I think it's gonna be a lot closer than I initially thought it was gonna be.
Yeah, I'm with you on that too. I would probably have this as my second best game of the weekend to watch.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's the a lot of people are probably heavy on San Fran. I think it's gonna be a lot closer than what people think. I'm taking San Fran, but the way Green Bay has been playing, especially towards the end of the season, how hot they've been, and then going into Dallas and whooping the Cowboys. Uh, I think it's gonna be a good game as well. I'm still gonna take San Fran. I think just all the talent they have, like you said, with the difference in levels of talent wise on defense, especially for San Fran. Um, I think they're gonna win this game.
Yeah. And honestly, like I said, like with the Packers game against the Cowboys, their Cowboys defense, if you can run against them, you can beat them. The 49ers defense, you can't run against them.
Right.
And that's the biggest difference I think between the two teams is and then Green Bay's defense, we've all been making fun of Joe Barry all season. Now, the
Yeah.
last couple weeks they've looked a little bit better, but still, I don't trust this defense at all. So, like I said, I think it's gonna be a closer game than people are thinking it's gonna be, but at the end of the day, this is I think a San Francisco win.
Mhm.
Moving on to the game that we're most excited for, maybe not matchup wise, but as two Detroit Lions fans, this is the farthest the Lions have been in the playoffs since 1992, which is crazy to think about. So the Lions won last week. Very exciting game against the Rams. Tampa Bay absolutely dominated the Eagles. Tampa Bay's won 6 of their last 7 games, but they are in the NFC South, which all season long everyone's been like the NFC South is the worst division in football. So I decided today to go look back and see who Tampa Bay has played in these last 7 games. Because I was curious, have they beat anybody? Like, I
Mhm.
mean, yes, they beat somebody because they won 6 of the last 7. What I mean by that is, have they beat a team that I go, oh crap, like that's a really good team. For example, like the Lions beat Kansas City week 1. Kansas City is a really good team. So I went and
Mhm.
I looked at their schedule, and I didn't write down the team names. I just wrote down their team records. The first win in the stretch was against the 2-15 team. That would obviously be the Panthers. Their second game was against 7-10. I believe that was the Falcons. And then the 9-8 was the Packers, so they beat the Packers. And then they beat a 9-8 team. I honestly don't. Oh, this was Jacksonville, and
Mm.
Jacksonville lost 5 of their last 6 games.
Yeah.
So far you've beaten a 2-15 team, a 7-10 team, the Packers, who granted had a really good end of the season too, and then Jacksonville, who was 9-8 but lost 5 of their last 6. Then they lost to New Orleans, and then to close out the season, they beat the Panthers again, who were 2-15, and they only won that one 9-0. So their
Right.
offense wasn't able to do a whole lot. And then obviously they beat Philadelphia last week, so Philadelphia would be that's who they beat. But Philadelphia has also been struggling the last month or so of the season.
Yeah.
So yes, they are winning games, but I look at their schedule, and I even looked at their entire schedule, and the only game that I'm like, holy crap, they beat that team was Baltimore in the preseason. And the only reason that's even a big deal is because Baltimore doesn't lose in the preseason.
Right.
They they were on this like streak of I think 4 or 5 straight years without losing a preseason game, if not longer.
Yeah, it was crazy. I think it was like
Yeah,
19 or 20 straight wins that they've had in the
yeah.
preseason.
So, with all that being said, though, I've decided to go look deeper into the matchup, and Tampa Bay, they are the worst running team, or not, maybe not the worst, but one of the worst running teams in the NFL. Well, that's where the Lions' defense strength is. They can stop the run. However,
Mhm.
Tampa Bay has one of the, I think it was top 10 pass offense, which the Lions' defense is vulnerable in that area. So it's weakness against weakness and strength against strength in that matchup. So it'll be, yeah, actually weakness against strength, and I don't even know, but yeah, Tampa Bay. It's an interesting matchup again. And
Mhm.
then I was looking. I'm gonna read you the injury report from the first time they played this season. Let me see if I can get it up here.
This was back in, I believe, what, week
Week
3?
6. Week
Week 6,
6.
okay.
Yeah, the Lions were 5-1 after this game.
Gotcha.
The injury report. And by the way, when this game was played, David Montgomery got injured in the first or second quarter of this game. So
Okay.
we're going to add David Montgomery to this list. So David Montgomery was injured in this game. Brian Branch was out. Jahmyr Gibbs was out. Jonah Jackson was out. James Mitchell was out. Mosley was out, and Josh Pascal was out. So
Wow.
yeah, and we beat them 20-6 at their place with all those guys out. Now I
Mhm.
understand. I'm sure they had. I haven't seen their injury report from that week, and I'm sure they had guys missing too. And I understand also that both teams are completely different than week
Yeah.
6.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to sit here and be like Lions by 20 or anything like that. But Lions are a lot more healthier this time around.
Mhm.
And I mean, even think about it. CJ Gardner Johnson wasn't there either because he got
Yeah.
hurt week 2.
Yeah.
So I think the Lions will win this one. I think it's going to be by more than a touchdown. I don't think it'll be a blowout or anything like that. I'm not like thinking Detroit's going to come out and blow them out of the water or anything like that. But
No.
I just like how they match up against Tampa Bay. Uh, Baker Mayfield. I kind of said this about Stafford too, But I trust Baker Mayfield to throw one up and just be a jump ball
Mhm.
and the defense come down with it. Because Lions defense can do that. I mean, we saw that against Nick Mullins. If you give him a jump ball, the
Yeah.
defense can come down with it.
Yeah.
It's just covering the guys that they're not very good at.
Yeah.
So there is concerns, but I think the Lions offense will be able to outpace Tampa Bay. So I'm taking the Lions to win this game.
Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting game for sure, because you can already probably place a bet on it if I was a betting man.
You are a betting
Uh,
man.
I don't know about that, Brandon. Do no such thing. I would probably say Evans and Godwin, anytime touchdown. Probably take Evans over 100 yards receiving. I'd probably say Godwin over 10 yards, or not 10 yards. Oh yeah, he's gonna have over 10 yards. Probably 10 receptions. We just know that their wide receivers are gonna get the yards. It's gonna come down to the Lions, basically their front four, and how well Hutch can get pressure, and if anyone else wants to step up and help him,
Yeah.
um, to give the defense, the back end, somewhat of a chance to make a play. Um, but the fact that this game is in Detroit now, the home crowd
Oh yeah.
advantage,
Yeah.
and it was proven last week that it really helped them out because the Rams had to burn 2 timeouts in the second half, and that came back to bite them.
Yep.
Um, I'm gonna take Detroit in this, and I feel pretty good about this.
Yeah.
And with that being said, that means they're probably gonna lose now, but
Yeah.
uh,
I mean, we were. I think we were 1 for 4 last week. We both agreed on the games.
all
So
right.
far we've agreed on all 3 games, and the fourth one I think we might split because that one's a really good matchup.
Can I change one of my answers then?
If you need to.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Green Bay to beat San
Yeah.
Francisco. Set up the NFC North Championship.
I was joking with I think it might have been you, might have been our friend Kenny, but I was joking with somebody that I don't know if I can handle emotionally Lions going to the Super Bowl. I'll be happy losing to the San Francisco 49ers in the conference championship.
I think you
But
were telling me that.
If Green
Yeah,
Bay gets past San Francisco, we're going to the Super Bowl.
yeah,
So that
yeah,
is kind of where I'm at right now.
yeah.
I don't know which
Yeah.
one. I think Kenny's calling you a smart man. Speaking of him for switching to
Oh,
the
good. Yeah,
Packers. Yeah.
I'm with you on this one, Kenny. Yeah, give me San Fran to lose at home. So Green Bay, here we go, setting up the NFC North for the NFC title.
You know how electric Ford Field would be for that game?
Mm. I
Oh
can't
my!
imagine.
And
It won't happen because we know Tampa Bay is gonna win. But
I mean, I don't know. I don't. Do you really think Baker Mayfield's going to go into that environment? I mean, Ford Field right now, it's. I'm not going to say it's like the toughest place to play because that Lions defense still exists, but
right.
that crowd energy, it's. I mean, false starts and delay of games like
Hmm.
that's just going to help the Lions defense as much as possible.
Yeah.
I just don't. And Baker Mayfield, I know he went first overall, and he's had his moments, but he hasn't really impressed me overall. Like,
Right.
and I mean, neither has Jared Goff. I think there's a bunch of them, a bunch of quarterbacks that you can throw in the same sentence of we can win because of, or with them, but we can't win because of them.
Right. Yeah.
And I think
Uh.
Baker Mayfield's in that category.
Yeah. I mean,
And so
I'm happy for his redemption, I guess you could say.
yeah,
Um, Getting cast out by all the teams and stuff.
yeah,
One more quick thing, and then we can move on. Of Fort Field, did you see that at one point? And I should have looked more into it, but someone said that the loudest it got was 133 decimals, I think, which
it
is
was some science or noise, like actually professional thing that looked this up. I saw an article, but I didn't click on it.
yeah, it
But
turned out to be as loud as a jet engine at one point,
yeah,
which that's crazy to think about. If you're, so I live near an airport, so I hear some jet engines all the time, and to think that's how loud inside Ford Field was, that's
yeah,
crazy.
yep. Moving on, we could honestly talk about the Lions game all day,
Yeah,
but we don't
yeah,
want to do that. We want to move on. We're going to go to Kansas City and Buffalo, which on paper, this is the best matchup of the weekend.
Yep, this was my
Uh,
number one. Yeah.
yep, this is the game I'm as a football fan. This is the game I'm most excited for. As a Lions fan, the Lions game is the most excited. I'm the one I'm most excited for.
Mhm.
But this one I think has potentially the best matchup of the weekend. Kansas City is Kansas City, but not really. Mahomes is still playing at a high level, but his receivers, they had a better game last week, but still they're too inconsistent for my blood. Buffalo, can they get over the hurdle of Kansas City? They've had basically chances every year the last 3-4 years to get past Kansas City and just haven't been able to do it yet. This one's being played in Buffalo, and there's a travel ban right now in Buffalo, so I don't know if the Bills are able to practice or not. Even I think it's gonna be a lot of Zoom meetings this week for the Bills to prepare for this game. So will that be a factor in this game? We'll find out. But this is one of those games where, as you like to say, a coin toss game.
Mhm.
I could see Kansas City going in there and winning, but this is the year that the Lions won the playoff game. So that means this is the year that the Bills get over their hurdles also. Why not break a couple of curses in the same year? Give me Buffalo.
Oh, Brandon coming out hot with the Buffalo pick. Yeah, I think you're right. I'm gonna disagree with you. Yeah,
Okay, good. I was hoping you would.
this is the kryptonite of Buffalo and Josh Allen for whatever reason. They cannot beat Kansas City even with little time left. Patrick Mahomes does crazy stuff and it annoys me because got all the talent. I just don't like him. I don't know why. Uh,
I think
probably
probably
because
because of the media hype. Like,
yeah, there's way too much media hype. Calm down, let him do his thing, and then talk about him. But that's another
yeah,
story. Yeah. As much as I want to pick Buffalo, all signs are pointing to them. Kansas City down near this and that. It's Buffalo's kryptonite. It's prove me wrong. I'm kind of hoping they do. Based on the subject we'll be talking here soon. But I'm gonna take Kansas City in this game.
I like I said, this is one of those games where it's a coin flip game for me. So I was leaning Kansas City, and then I'm like, you know what? This is Exercise Demons playoffs. Let's do this. So next we're going to talk about Super Bowl matchups we want to see. This is not necessarily what we think will happen because we did that last week, and one of us picked the Rams because reasons. That was me. I'm not going to throw Alex under the bus. Don't worry. But
You can if you
so,
want to. That's fine.
no, I'll take the blame for me calling the Rams a Super Bowl competitive or caliber team,
Hmm.
losing in the first round to the Detroit Lions. You know, that's not a Super Bowl caliber team. But anyways, so this isn't necessarily teams that we think will make the Super Bowl per se. These are matchups of the remaining teams that we'd be like, hey, that'd be a heck of a Super Bowl. That'd be fun to watch for either what we think the teams could do, maybe historical significance, maybe just whatever our criteria we want it to be. So the only rule was the team has to be in the playoffs right now. So for example, we couldn't say, well, we want Dallas and Cleveland, for example, because well, neither team are still in the playoffs. So and this is not a movie where somebody stepped on the line and dodgeball and we get, keep going here. So
Right.
so we each got three matchups that we'd like to see. I'll let you give your first. Not these aren't necessarily in any order for me. I don't know about you, but I just
Well,
came up with three, and I don't really have them in any order. But I'll let you go first and say your first Super Bowl matchup
this
that
one's
you'd like to
probably
see.
not gonna excite a lot of people. It's probably the least Super Bowl that everyone wants to see. I kind of want to see it. And it's actually kind of goes against my picks, but it's the Buccaneers against Houston. Houston's never won the title, and I would like to see the Bucks win another one, vice versa, whatever.
That is like
You
the one Super Bowl matchup I don't want to see.
Yeah, not many people do, I know. I'm more of the storyline kinda guy, so Baker Mayfield and his redemption, it's not gonna happen because he's gonna lose the Lions, but if he were to have a Super Bowl, it'd be against Houston, who's actually, I don't think they've never been to the Super Bowl, and they never won one, obviously.
No,
You kinda gotta be there to win, but yeah. So that would be my, Super Bowl I wanna see that no one else wants to see.
So the first one I'm going to bring up is one that I think a lot of people want to see, unless if you absolutely hate these teams. And if you believe in conspiracy theories like I do, this is the Super Bowl matchup we're going to get anyways because this is like Super Bowl colors. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go look at the last few Super Bowls, and the colors are the team's colors. And they picked the Super Bowl logo before the season even starts. And so the internet conspiracy theorists are having a field day with that, saying, well, it's scripted. And the Super Bowl colors this year are the 49ers and the Ravens. I know it's kind of a safe pick, but I mean, they've been the best two teams all season long. And if I'm having a championship game, I want strength against strength. I want two teams that I know aren't going to lay an egg in that game. And San Francisco is not going to lay an egg. They're too good of a team. Baltimore's probably not going to lay an egg. They got way too much talent. It'd be a fun matchup to see again how Lamar matches up against San Francisco's defense, how the running game for San Fran goes against Baltimore's defense, and even having the best kicker in the world excites me with Justin
Yeah,
Tucker. And even as a Michigan fan, you got Jake Moody on the other side. So,
for the brand, baby.
yeah, punters are people too.
That's right.
So that's my first one. I know it's kind of a safe pick, but it would be a great football game, I think. And when you're watching the Super Bowl, like we are, we don't watch it for the commercials, we watch it for the football. And
Mhm.
so that'd be a football game I'd like to see, even though we already saw it this year.
Yeah.
What's your second?
My second actually is the same thing. San Fran, Baltimore. You want to see the two best teams fight. I think this would be great. The chess match between LaFleur and Hardball. Lamar and trying to stay upright, I guess you could say, against Bosa and Young. I think it's the most exciting matchup we could have, based on the creativeness of both teams, how they get the people in the right place. Yeah, I think this would probably be uh one of my second matchups, even though we're not ranking them. But yeah, Super
Yeah.
Bowls I would want to see.
Before I give my number two, if you are watching live, drop your comment on what Super Bowl matchup you would like to see. We'll give you a shout out on the show. We can see comments here. We can put them on the screen. So if you're watching live, let us know what Super Bowls you'd like to see. The only rule is the teams have to be in the NFL playoffs, so don't be stupid and saying the Tigers against the Yankees or anything like that. We want NFL teams, so that's the only rule I have, that they have to be an NFL team in the playoffs right now. My number two, my last two are homer picks because I'm a Lions fan and I would love to see the Lions win the Super Bowl someday. My first one would be Detroit and Buffalo. Or second one, I should say. My first one with Detroit would be Detroit and Buffalo. It would be one of those things where geographically the teams are pretty close. Both fan bases. Now Buffalo's been to 4 Super Bowls, but it's been since the early '90s, so they have their own curses that they want to break. The Lions obviously have the curse of Bobby Lane going on here, so it would be a really cool matchup, just for the curse factor. And Josh Allen, he's a heck of a quarterback. He has a great arm. The Lions offense, I think, is one of the most exciting offenses to watch. But Josh Allen against the Lions defense, I think he would have a MVP caliber Super Bowl. It's Stephon Diggs and company. They have a lot of good weapons on Buffalo. And I would love to see Dan Campbell in a Super Bowl press conference. The guy is a great interview. So that would be mine.
Yes.
You know, my first one was the Lions, the second one overall. We do have a comment here. I'm going to take a peek at this here.
Yep.
We got Packers versus Texans because, you know, it is a Packers fan we were dealing with here. I love you, Kenny, but yeah, I don't want the Packers in the Super Bowl. And then he also agrees with us with the Ravens 49ers too. I think a lot of people would agree that Ravens 49ers would probably be on paper the best matchup, but
Mhm.
we also like the storylines of some of the other matchups
Yeah.
possibilities too. So
Yeah.
what is your number three?
Number 3, well, you call it number 3. This is number 1, and I'm all serious in this. This is gonna be called the Battle for Lake Erie. Whoever wins this game gets rights to Lake Erie, and that is the Lions against the Buffalo Bills. Two teams never won. Like you said, the Bills have been there uh, 4 straight times and lost all 4 straight times. Um, but I would like to see the matchup of Dan Campbell and Sean McDermott and how they would match each other's enthusiasm. Some of them have said crazy things off the air too, that kind of got brought up. But I think it'd be a fun game to watch. And
Yeah,
that
it
would
would
be
definitely would be. And I mean, I think we did talk about our matchups before we went on the air, but I promised you when I texted Alex a few hours ago and said, hey, we're going to do our Super Bowl games we wanted to see. I didn't tell him what my games were, so we agree on two of them. My third one, though, is we started the season week one on Thursday Night Football at Arrowhead Stadium, the Detroit Lions against the Kansas City Chiefs. I would love to see the last game of the season to be the Detroit Lions against the Kansas City Chiefs. And I would like a repeat of what happened week one, by the way. Us hoisting the Lombardi trophy in Patrick Mahomes' face. That'd be beautiful. But I think the storylines would be amazing there, too. The Chiefs team that's always there against the Lions who've never been there.
yeah.
You know, obviously, like I said, Lions beat the Chiefs week one. Would it, it'd be a storyline of can the Chiefs get the revenge on the Lions? How much of a difference would Chris Jones and Travis Kelsey be because Kelsey was banged up that game? So it'd be I think the Chiefs would probably destroy the Lions, to be completely honest with you, but it'd be a fun matchup just because that's how we started the season. And the Lions, I honestly think that game against the Chiefs sparked the Lions for the season. I mean, it
Mhm.
gave the fan base, holy crap, like this might be real.
Yeah.
Like,
Especially Arrowhead, that's not
yeah,
an easy stadium to win in. Let me ask you this, and I can't think of any off the top of my head, maybe you can. Has there ever been that situation where week 1 team versus the game 1 versus the end, I don't know, game 162 or whatever, not 162, but you know what I mean,
yeah.
Super Bowl. Has there ever been that matchup before?
I have no idea. I will look that up and we'll talk about that on Monday. On Monday, so I will do some research on that. And
Yeah. I'm just curious because you mentioned that too, to start the season and then to end the season with the same 2 teams.
I know
Um,
I'm pretty sure there's been, rematches in Super Bowls, but I don't know if it's been week one.
right.
But yeah, I'll look into that and see if I can find anything. I mean, I'm sure if it does happen, they'll talk about that too. But yeah, I'll do some research and see if that's anything that's ever happened before. One last thing we want to get to. It doesn't really have anything to do with the games per se. It has nothing to do with the NFL. But Bally Sports, which is the local or regional, I should say, broadcasting for a lot of markets right now. Fox Sports, because of ESPN buying out Fox Media, Fox Sports actually couldn't do regional broadcasting for monopoly reasons. So Sinclair bought or took over with a product called Bally Sports, and it has been nothing but a disaster since it started. Um, it basically is so their prices are so ridiculous that a lot of the cable companies don't want to deal with them. Uh, Dish doesn't have them. I don't know if DirecTV has them or not. But my family, we did YouTube TV there for a while because it was on there. It got so expensive that YouTube TV dropped them. A few other streaming services dropped them, and with this huge cutting the cord thing, that was how people were getting their channels were YouTube TV, Hulu, Live TV, and what's the other one, like Fubo. So
Yeah.
now a couple of them do still have Bally Sports, but not many of them.
Mhm.
And so Bally ended up doing this app that is $20 a month, I believe. And I have the app. And there's been times this year where I've wanted to sit down and watch a Red Wings game. Like they're playing right now, for example. So when we're done recording, I'll probably turn them on and watch them for a couple of periods. But the app crashes. And around Christmas time, maybe Thanksgiving, one of those two holidays, the app did not work for a week straight. and it was everywhere in the country. It wasn't just my app; it was literally the entire country. So I went on X or Twitter, whatever it was called at the time, and the whole social media network is basically comments at Valley Sports, you are a piece of crap.
Right.
So I'm really hoping that obviously Amazon knows how to run a app, so I'm not worried about it crashing. I am intrigued by how it's going to work though. My guess is it's going to be an extension that you have to pay for because live sports, like that's a huge market and people love their sports, which
And
is
they're gonna
why
pay.
we're here.
Yeah, they're gonna pay to
You know,
get it too.
we're going to pay to get our sports.
Mhm.
So I'm guessing that Amazon's going to charge an extra subscription for this. That's just my guess. I couldn't find. They just announced this morning. I did some research and I couldn't find the answer to that question, but that's just my guess. Another thing I would like, and I have not seen anything on this either, is I'd like the blackout to be dropped because, for example, I would love to sit down and watch a Brewers and Cubs game because that is a very underrated rivalry. Baseball rivalries in general are underrated, but that is an underrated baseball rivalry.
Mhm.
And it'd just be a fun game to watch. But because of not being in Milwaukee's market, I can't watch it unless I pay for $120 for MLB TV.
Right.
And I wish that they would just drop the blackout so if I do get MLB TV or whatever, I can watch whatever game, including the Tigers.
Mhm.
So, because if I'm going to drop $120 or whatever it is, I want to watch my team too,
Yeah,
not
not just
just not
all
just
of
everybody else.
31 teams or whatever.
Yeah, and like there's a podcast that I listen to. I can't think of the name of the top of my head, but the one guy lives in Iowa on the show, and he is a diehard Tigers fan. Well, he cannot watch on his MLB TV app. He can't watch the Tigers when they play the White Sox or the Royals because, and maybe the Twins too. I'm not sure on that one, but because of where he lives in Iowa, his cable subscription for his area has the Royals and White Sox in their packages, so he can't watch the Tigers because against those teams because that game's available on his cable subscription if you chose cable, which is absolute bullcrap.
Yeah.
So that they need to do something to change that, and all the sports, not just baseball, but all the sports need to get rid of this blackout. So
Do you do you know why they started the blackout or why it's there?
I would assume because the cable companies wanted people to subscribe to their
Yeah,
that's
use
that's
their service instead
yeah,
of other services. Yeah, okay.
that's
That
my
makes
guess is
Yeah.
they're in bed
I
with
was
the
just
cable
curious.
company. That
Yeah.
my guess, but I don't know that for sure. But that's just what I would imagine. Thank you guys so much for checking us out. That is all we have for you guys today. I will get you guys an answer to the question that was asked by Alex about the history of teams facing off the first game of the season and the Super Bowl. I will see what just the history of that, see if it's ever happened before, and how both games went. So I'll work on that next few days and get answers for that. And we'll react to the playoff games on Monday also too. And if anything else breaks in the world of sports, we will talk about that also. Thank you guys so much for checking us out. We hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to like and subscribe, tell your friends about us, and have a great day.